Good morning and welcome to our service on this Sunday, this day of worship, as we come and worship God. Hope you're doing really well. My name's Murray, pastor of Remuera Baptist Church. Good to be with you. One of the ministries that I'm involved in this church is the Mainly Music Ministry, which is a music and movement ministry for preschoolers and their carers. And we were doing some sessions over the summer break outside, actually, which is really cool. And before that, because of COVID and so on, we'd been doing a lot of online pre-recorded sessions. And there was a day doing a live session out on the park in summer when we were just setting up for this Mainly Music session. And a grandma came up to me with her son coyly, very shyly hiding behind her. And his grandmother said to me, my grandson just said to me, "Is he real? Is he real?" And I was a bit confused by that, but she went on to explain. She said, "My grandson has been watching Mainly Music on TV, on the online sessions, so much for the past few weeks. The idea that he could actually see me face to face in the flesh was just blowing his mind. The fact that he could talk to me and I could talk to him was such a revelation that he said, "Is he real?" And I thought, what a wonderful image into our relationship with God in some ways, because I think sometimes we do keep him at a distance, don't we? He's there, but he's separate somehow. He's somehow through a screen, perhaps. And the idea that you can come into his presence and talk to him, and maybe him talk to you, is maybe unfamiliar. And we're left asking, is he real? But if you're asking God this morning, is he real? The answer is yes. He is resoundingly, yes, he is real. Not only real, but with you. And not only with you, but wanting to touch your life and do things in you which are good and which are a blessing to you. And so this morning, reach out, open up to the God who's really here and who is really real. Let's worship him.
Bless your name, oh God, each day that I awake. From dawn to setting sun, your greatness I'll proclaim. Your glory far exceeds all human thought, and with each breath I'll bless your name, oh God. Your name will be revered by children yet to come, as generations sing of wonders you have done. Your strong and mighty deeds are always near. Oh God, most high, your name will be revered. How great is the Lord, and greatly to be praised. How great is the Lord our God. How great is the Lord, and greatly to be praised. Your gracious hand provides for all who live and breathe. Your mercy
A, definitely A. Maybe B, but it's not C. Definitely A. Or B. Oh, guys, I know this one. I know. It's no, don't tell me. It's on the tip of my tongue. No, shh. I can't remember. It's 45. Oh, this is ridiculous. This is so hard. I mean, honestly, no one's going to understand this. I never liked quizzes in the first place. It's like that time, and then Dad said, and then you said, and you were wearing that top. The answer's spaghetti. On August 20th, Tearfund is inviting churches across the country to get involved in the big quiz. Did you recognise anyone in that video that needs to be invited? Look, go and approach your leaders, register your church, get a team involved, come and have fun and help vulnerable people overcome poverty. Go to www.tearfund.org.nz/quiz for more information.
This week we are starting a 3-week period in the life of our church, which is called Renew Together. And it's a time where we focus on the global work of mission that is undertaken on our behalf through wonderful people in different places around the world and who are looked after by the New Zealand Baptist Missionary Society, or Transcend. And the next three Sundays, we're going to be looking at ministry and mission and sharing and all those wonderful things and praying for these people. And we invite you to journey in prayer too for them. We invite you to, excuse me, we invite you to pray for the needs of these ones. We ask that you also carefully consider giving financially. And in 3 Sundays' time, on the 3rd Sunday, we will be having an opportunity to give financially to Transcend and to the needs of the missionary work around the world. But if you'd like to give at any stage, you can do so with the account number, the church account number, which is at the end of this broadcast, and just putting a reference word, renew, and we'll make sure that goes there. But let's watch a video clip now, which highlights some of the wonderful things that are happening through the work of Transcend.
You carry her bag, but do you know her story? Do you know the transformation she presses into every day? How her life is paving the way for future generations? She is one of 16 women walking confidently into her workshop today, while thousands of others just like her will spend the day forced to sell their bodies in the sex trade. Do you know of her strength, her grit, her faith?
আমার নাম চন্দনা দাস। অনেক খারাপ ছিল, যখন ছিলাম বৃষ্টি হতো, ঝড় হতো, সবসময় দাঁড়িয়ে থাকতাম নিচে। আগে অনেক খারাপ মন ছিল যে না আমি এই কাজ করছি, এরকম মনে আসতো। আমার আগে মন খুব খারাপ ছিল। প্রথম তো স্যারাদি পলদা গেছিল, স্যারাদি বলছে তুমি কাজ করবে, আমি বলছি হ্যাঁ আমি কাজ করতে চাই। তাই খুব ভালো লেগেছে যে আমাদের ব্যাগ সেলাই হয়, আমাদের এরকম এরকম চামড়ার কাজ, এমন লয়াল লোকসভা ঢুকে ভালো হয়েছি, ভালোবাসা দিয়েছে অনেক। আমরা অনেক পরিবার আছি, আমাদের লয়াল লোকসভা পরিবারটা খুব ভালোবাসে এবং সম্মান দেয়, আমিও সম্মান দিই। খুব ভালো লাগে সেলাই করতে, প্যাকেজিং করতে, কাটিং করতে, সব ভাল লাগে। আগে অত আনন্দ ছিল না, এখন অনেক আনন্দিত আছি, খুশি আছি, মনও ভালো, মন ভালো পরিবর্তন হয়েছে। তাই এখন কাজ করি, তাই আমার মন খুব ভালো, আমি ভালোও আছি খুব। তাই তারপরে আমরা অনেক পরিবার পেয়েছি। আমার নাম চন্দনা দাস, রয়্যাল ওয়ার্কশপে কাজ করি।
We normally identify the soils in the story. We normally identify with the soils in the story, don't we? But I wonder if you have ever read the story through the eyes of the sower. What was going on in his mind as he put on his gumboots on this particular morning, as he picked up his sack of seed, as he slapped on his SPF 50 and headed out for the field? What was going on in his heart? What were his wishes? What were his dreams for the seed and for the day? Those questions are not just theoretical musings. They matter because we need to understand in this incident that Jesus, in this particular occasion, is the sower. He is in the boat. He's looking back on the shore where a large crowd of people are listening to his words, and Jesus is sowing seeds by talking about a sower sowing seeds. Does it make sense? The story is reflecting what was happening in that moment. And as Jesus looks around at the faces in this crowd, I wonder, did he look at one person and say, good soil? Did he look at another person and say, hard-hearted? Did he look at another person and say, my words are just going to be drowned out in all of her anxiety and worry? On this particular day, Jesus is the sower. The sower is his alter ego. Jesus is sowing seeds while he's talking about a sower sowing seeds. And as the sower looks out on his field and as Jesus looks out on his faces, what might be going through his mind? Here's my best guess. He might be saying, there are some things here that I just can't control. There are some things here I cannot control. Now, Jesus does not tell us a story of 100% efficient seed, right? Where every seed germinates. He doesn't. Instead, what he does is paint a real picture of the real world where there are a whole bunch of factors working against the harvest. The blazing sun, the rocky ground, the pesky birds, and the weeds that are growing like they're on steroids, you know? These things are working against the harvest. And that's interesting. You might say, Jesus, you know, you're God. You've got ultimate power. You can do anything. Why don't you tell a better story? Why don't you tell a story where there is a force field of your power around this bit of dirt? You know, maybe where there are angels with blazing swords as scarecrows. You know, nothing's going to get through them. Where you can melt the rocks under the ground with a thought. You know, that is a God-level gardening story. But he doesn't. Instead, he tells a story where the sower is not in control of everything. Where all of his hopes and dreams, and he does have hopes and dreams for the seed, can be frustrated by things working against him. And he tells this kind of a story because this story reflects reality. As Jesus looks out on all these faces of people standing on the shore watching him, he knows that many of them will one day shout, "Crucify," or at least agree with those who are doing that. He can't control their responses because he's chosen to allow their responses. And isn't that the same for us as we seek to share Jesus today as well? You know, if God allowed forces to work against Jesus, what makes us think it will be any different for us when we seek to sow the seed of the gospel in our world? It's supposed to be hard. It was hard for Jesus. So what do we do with that realization? One response might be to say, well, I don't know, just be a bit more careful maybe with the seed, with the way I'm sharing. I'm going to pick my moments. I'm going to choose our battlefields wisely, show a bit of discretion about who we talk to and when we talk about God and his love and the death and resurrection of Jesus. I'm just going to quality control things a bit. Be a bit careful when we talk about the love and justice of God and words like eternity and heaven and hell and sin, all those words. But as we read the story, we find that the sower does the opposite. Because there are forces working against the harvest, the sower doesn't throw out less seed. He throws out an abundance of seed. He doesn't show more care. He kind of shows less care. He's distributing the stuff all over the place. He's not coming after himself with a shovel and brush and sweeping all the seeds off the path. He's not avoiding the places where he knows there's a bit of rock under the ground. No. Because there's a resistance to the harvest, he's throwing out seed everywhere, abundantly. Right? Let me ask you, what would happen in the Ukraine if they said, you know what, we've been encountering a bit of opposition lately, we're just going to pull back, give less resource to the war effort? Is that what we do? No. But isn't that sometimes what we do as we share the amazing news of Jesus? I'm encountering a bit of pushback here. I'm just going to lay low. That's not what the sower does. He's saying, I can't control the rocks and the birds and the weeds, but what I can control is the seed. And I'm just going to put it out there. That is what I can control. The widespread, generous, lay it all out there, sowing of seed in the face of resistance. And the seed is precious stuff. For a farmer, seed is life and livelihood. It is precious, but the sower here is distributing it like it isn't. Why? Because he knows that without the seed going out, there will not be a harvest coming in. And so he just lays it out there. There are things for us too that we cannot control as we share the love and reality of Jesus to the people around us. Can't control their reactions. But there are things that we can control. A gentle and respectful, but a no holding back attitude that says resistance will only make me more intent to share the love that I've known. Yes, with wisdom, yes, with sensitivity, but with no backing down. Does that reflect you? Do you follow in the way of this sower? Why would we do this? I'll ask the question, why did the sower take that kind of a strategy? It was for him because even though the failure rate of the seed was high, and it was high, the seeds that grew and grew well made it worth it. Up until recently, the TV and video streaming service Netflix has had a fascinating business development strategy. Netflix was throwing huge amounts of money into creating original TV shows and original movies. And they made many, many TV shows and many, many movies in abundance. Some people said they were crazy. Even this year, when their foothold in the market is getting a bit less, they are still planning on spending nearly $18 billion on content for their platform. And their strategy is this: many of our shows will not be hits, but if we make enough of them, some will be. And these shows will be big enough to finance our growth. They're saying we are going to spread ourselves all over the place, and the shows that do succeed will make it all worthwhile. Well, the sower in this story is a Netflix sower. He has the same attitude. The forces against him are real. The failure rate of seeds is high, but for him, what makes it all worth it are the seeds that grow and grow strongly. Stepping outside of this story, though we may have many people around us with closed hearts and closed minds as we share the love of Jesus, the ones that open up to God deeply and truly, they make it worth it, don't they? They did for Jesus. As Jesus looked out on this sea of faces as he sat on the Sea of Galilee, he knew that every sacrifice he would make would be worth it because of those who wholeheartedly would embrace and live out the gospel. That's what made it worth it. Why would they be worth it? Well, Jesus gives us a bit of a wink at the end of this story. He says in verse 8, "Other seed fell on good soil where it produced a crop 100, 60, 30 times what was sown." Now, just a reality check here. If you were to invest money in a New Zealand bank at the moment, in a high interest saving account, you would be lucky to get 4% return. If you had an investment that gave you 30% return, would you take it? Absolutely. What about 60% return? What about 100% return on your investment? Of course you would take it. That's miraculous. Huge returns on investment. And Jesus says that is what God will do for those who take his truth deep into their lives and live it out with passion and sacrifice and love. He's saying to them, I will do things through their lives that are miraculous. Their little bit of faith, I'm going to add to and give them even more faith. Their little bit of influence, I'm going to add to and give them more influence and effectiveness. He says, for whoever has little will be given more, and they will have an abundance. Whoever does not have, even what they have, will be taken from them. You see? The combination of a soft and willing life and the transforming power of God working through that life is so miraculous, so amazing, so mysterious that Jesus says generations who lived before him longed to see that dynamic happening. Longed to see with lives that were soaked in the spirit and the power of Jesus Christ. The well-known preacher D.L. Moody said this once: the world has yet to see what God will do with a person fully consecrated to him. The world has yet to see what God will do with a person fully consecrated to him. You see, for the sower, for Jesus, the ones that said yes, despite all the resistance, made it worth it. that made it worth it for Jesus. He said, I will sacrifice for that. Does seeing lives come alive through the gospel make it worth it for us, for you and for me? Does that make it worth it? Is that a prize you will fight for? Will we be those who face pushback as we live out and speak the truth of Jesus? But it only galvanizes us into more loving engagement because we know the worth and the beauty of a life transformed by Jesus. May we be that kind of a person for his sake. Amen.